And honestly, that much food doesn't really belong in anybody's stomach. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Carnivore Revolution, and I'm Serena. Today I want to talk about sticking with the carnivore diet. I hear from a lot of people every week that say, but how do you stick with the carnivore diet? People find it difficult sometimes, especially in the beginning, to kind of stick with it, especially when you're out on a vacation or you have things like we have a couple of times a year. We have like a basketball tournament and a volleyball tournament that we go out of town for our kids. And sometimes it can be hard in situations like that. If you're going out to dinner with friends or family, or you have parties to go to, sometimes those things can be difficult. So one of the ways that you can kind of stay on track for that is, you know how they say never go grocery shopping when you're hungry? Well, I think it's the same thing with eating out or going to a party or a family gathering if you're on the carnivore diet. Never go hungry. It's as simple as that. Make sure you eat a little bit first. And I know that's hard because you think, well, if I'm going out to eat, I'm going to a party, I don't really want to eat first. But that's the way to stay on track. So if you can make yourself have a hamburger patty before you go to a party or out to dinner. And I know that sounds like that's not the right thing. You're not supposed to eat, before you go out to dinner, but it can really help you stay on track because then you're not going to be as hungry. And the things at the restaurant, the things on the menu, or the things that are laid out at the party or the picnic or wherever you are, those things aren't going to jump out at you, and you're not going to be as hungry. You're not going to, when you go grocery shopping when you're hungry, you pick up all kinds of stuff that you don't even really want or need, right? And so it's the same way when you go to a party or a gathering out to eat, is you're going to find that those foods look a lot more appetizing if you're really hungry. And so eat something before you leave the house, whether it's a few pieces of bacon or a hamburger, just to kind of get your body remembering that you're not super hungry, that you don't need those other foods. And then if you have a say in it, help to pick the restaurant, right? Like if you're going out to eat, mention a burger place or a restaurant that you know has good burgers or steaks, or where you've been before and you kind of know what to expect. And then don't forget to use the internet. Use your phone, use your computer to kind of look up the restaurants that are being suggested. I just try to remember certain things though, like once you've done this for a while, it's really easy to say, oh, well, that place has good steaks, or that place has a great double bacon cheeseburger that I've gotten before without a bun, or like Buffalo Wild Wings has their wings that are fried in beef tallow. So there are so many different, like every restaurant has something for a carnivore. When I was vegan or plant-based or just kind of watching what I ate or counting Weight Watchers points, it was so much harder to eat out then than it is now. And I remember, because I'm gluten free, I've been gluten free for a long time. I remember going out to eat with other people and just feeling kind of left out and feeling like they didn't have any consideration for me when they were picking the restaurant, because we would go to a place that didn't have a lot of gluten free options. And I wish I had known about carnivore then, because it is so much easier now to go out to eat because I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a burger without the bun. If it's Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm getting the wings. If it's um, Texas Roadhouse, I know that I'm getting a steak and asking them to cook it in butter without the seasonings. But even if you felt a little bit weird about that, just order the steak the way it is. It's not going to kill you, right? It's going to come, it adds up in your system and you're probably not going to feel as great. But if it makes you uncomfortable to order it like that, cooked in butter without the seasonings, then just order it the way you need to order it. I usually just tell them to keep the sides. That's the easiest thing. And they'll say, "Are you sure?" And I say, "Yeah, I don't need the sides." Or I'll ask for the sides on a different plate and give them to whoever else at the table might want those sides, somebody who isn't watching what they eat or somebody who isn't carnivore. And that happens sometimes. Or if we're out with our kids who are not carnivore, I'll get the sides that I know they like and then I'll give them to them. Sometimes we save money because they don't even get a meal because they have, the extra sides to eat. And sometimes those sides are really filling. And honestly, that much food doesn't really belong in anybody's stomach, right? If you're talking about like macaroni and cheese and a side of broccoli plus the steak, you can't, your stomach really isn't even that big, but because of the nature of the macaroni and cheese and the broccoli, like those things don't really register. It's the protein and the fat in the steak or the burgers that help your body to recognize that it's full. And so you're actually eating those extra calories and those extra foods for nothing except some mouth pleasure, because they don't really have a lot of nutritional value either. Yes, even the broccoli does not have a ton of nutritional value. And so you're actually using up calories for nothing when you could get, the wings and a steak if you if you could afford that and wanted both things, you could get the wings and the steak. But honestly, those steaks are filling enough. And again, if you ate a little something before you left the house, you wouldn't need the sides and you wouldn't feel like you needed extra food. You would be able to go and be satisfied with just the steak or just a couple of hamburger patties. So just keep that in mind and go ahead and do some research now. If you're new to this or you get stressed out when you're going out to eat with other people, go ahead and look up some stuff now, or whatever free time you have. Go ahead and look up a few of the restaurants that you go to sometimes and just kind of have things in your mind can really help you to be prepared like that. And then when we're not going out to eat, but we're going to somebody else's house, whether, like I said, it's for a picnic or a barbecue or holidays, I always bring something that I know that I can eat that I think other people will like too. So I have a meat and cheese casserole that I love to take places. Everybody always loves it. It's super easy. If you search my YouTube channel, you can find, I just call it meat and cheese casserole, but it's basically just some browned ground beef, some browned breakfast sausage, you know, the one that comes in the tube, crushed up so it looks, you know, like ground beef. I just do it with the ground beef. And then I also do like some chicken, and the measurements aren't really specific as long as it's full of meat. And so I'll do some chicken breasts kind of shredded up and put those in there. And I'll add a couple of handfuls of bacon bits to it, couple of bricks of cream cheese, some heavy cream, I always cook all the meat first together and then drain it and then add those extra things, the cream cheese, the cheese, and the heavy cream, and just mix it all up together. And then that's like a one pot meal. So it's in a pot, and then I'll put it in a baking dish, right? Like a 9 by 11 or something baking dish. Fill it up, make sure it looks fairly decent, sprinkle cheese on top, and then you can put bacon bits on top. Or you can put, when Kelly Hogan makes something similar to this, she puts just whole strips of bacon on there. It looks so pretty. Put it in the oven for about 10 minutes just to melt that cheese and make it look really pretty. And then you take that and it's like this delicious, beautifully presented meat and cheese casserole that every single person there is going to absolutely love. I promise everybody's going to love this, and nobody's going to realize it when that's the only thing you eat. So if it makes you uncomfortable and you don't really like to talk about it, I know a lot of people are like that, then you just go and you get that. When other people offer you other things, you say, oh gosh, no thanks, I'm full. And then it's fine. Nobody's going to give you a hard time about it. And if they do, it's their own insecurities about the junk they're eating. And they just need to make you feel bad about it so they can feel better about what they're eating. So just keep those things in mind. You could also bring, I know other people do this, like they bring just a whole couple of pounds of bacon cooked. And like that's the first thing to go, because who doesn't love bacon? So just make sure that you bring something that you can eat. For these basketball and volleyball tournaments that we go to, and we're staying in a cabin with a bunch of other families and we're all cooking together, we do things like Mexican night, spaghetti night, soup night, and I'll make like a cheeseburger soup kind of recipe and bring that in a big crock pot. And usually I have to go to the store and get more ingredients to make a second one because everybody loves it. It's completely carnivore. I like to use chicken broth in mine just because I'm not a huge fan of beef broth. So I use chicken broth, ground beef, some cream cheese, and then I bring cheese and bacon bits to kind of sprinkle on top of the soup. It's delicious. I put some heavy cream in there. Again, I don't use a lot of measurements, but Courtney Luna has a great recipe for a soup that's very similar in her new cookbook, Carnivore in the Kitchen. So make sure you pick a copy of that up. It's available everywhere right now. It actually comes out on October 1st. And if you pre-order it, you'll actually get it on October 1st instead of having to wait several days. And if you pre-order it, you also get 2 free recipes right now. So that's a great option because that has amazing recipes in it. You could take a lot of those things to other places and nobody would even realize that they're carnivore. So she's got a great recipe with exact measurements in it, which mine is not exact measurements, the one I usually make. So that's a great option too. And then we're doing a Mexican night. And so on that night, I will just have the taco meat with sour cream and cheese on top on a plate, or I'll use an egg life wrap and make it kind of like a mini burrito or a soft taco. And then on spaghetti night, I probably will have a little bit of tomato sauce, but I might just do the Mexican night again because there's always going to be leftovers of those kinds of things. And so that's a great thing that I have been able to help with the menu planning. That's the other thing, is like I always like to help with the menu planning because it helps me be prepared and it helps me interject my opinions, which helps them make better choices for food, I feel like. I mean, there's going to be a lot of junk there, but I won't eat it because I will be full on the meat, and I don't have to eat what everybody else is eating to feel good, right? We're also going to have like deli meat and cheese. avocado oil mayonnaise so we can make wraps with egg life wraps, kind of like a sandwich for lunch. But I'll probably eat my leftover soup a lot, and I'll probably have the taco, the Mexican meal, a couple of times. And that's usually how it works out for us for volleyball and basketball for those tournaments. The food is almost always things that I can adapt or that I can eat. And part of that is because I try to help with the planning, which helps a little bit. And so just keep that in mind I hope these tips are helpful. When you're going somewhere, when you're going out to eat, or when you're, going to a party or something, just make sure you bring something that you can eat. And that can be hugely helpful for you. And the next day, other people are going to have a carb hangover, or at the end of the tournament, other people aren't going to feel great, but you're going to feel amazing because you stuck with it. I'm going to bring lots of other things for me too. I'm going to bring carnivore snacks. I'm going to try to make myself some baked cheese chips. There will be things for me to eat too. We're also making, like everybody's making, an egg casserole. And I might eat that for lunch one day as well as for breakfast. Mine is going to be just the eggs with some cooked sausage sprinkled in, with some bacon bits sprinkled in, with cheese on top. And I know a lot of people like to use like biscuits and gravy and things like that in theirs, but mine won't be like that. Mine will be gluten-free and carnivore or low carb friendly. And that's always, again, another option that you could take somewhere if you were going like to a brunch or a lunch kind of gathering, and breakfast, obviously. You could certainly take something like that. And most people like those kinds of things. So if people don't know how you eat because you haven't come out of the closet yet on your food, nobody's going to think some of those foods are weird. And so I think that's a great way to kind of integrate yourself and not be self-conscious about what you're eating, and also give other people, some better, healthier foods to eat if you just kind of stick with your plan and try to get them to eat some of your food. So, okay, that's it. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and thank you so much for watching.